Welcome back to Tower Block Tales. So in this episode, it's covering the court case and the sentencing. So the court case was set out for 6 weeks, but it didn't actually last that long, and the actual sentencing date was for the 5th of June. And the jury decided that guilty of murder was the sort of what charge they're going to face. That jury were made up of 8 women and 4 men. And the judge had already warned them that they would be showing a video recording as part of the evidence that would show some of the horrific attack. The judge had asked them previously whether they would still be able to carry on as a jury member after they'd seen such a video and its contents due to its sort of horrific, viewing nature. They over the days that sort of followed from day one of the trial up until the sentencing, the court heard from all the relevant people. One of them obviously was the doctor who did the post-mortem, and he was called Dr. Lamb, and his findings was he found to have Stephen had been found with a bleed on the brain as a result, which resulted in his death. And it was caused by blunt force trauma from the savage beating that was inflicted on him by the 2 women, by Nicola and Zoe. He'd got 22 separate injuries, 2 black eyes. He's also got bruising to his face, bruising to the left side torso, and his chest. And it was all sort of consistent with sort of being kicked basically and beaten and that sort of thing. The decision came back. The jury came back with a decision that murder was the only charge. That they believed it was murder basically, and not manslaughter. Only took them about 2 hours to come back with this this decision. So that was the end of that day in court, and they was to return to sort of face the judge the next day for the judge to sort of sentence them accordingly. So when they come in the next day, we heard sort of an impact statement from a ex-partner of Stephen's, and I will give you a rundown of a timeline of the sentencing. So at 9:53, so the judge comes in, and all the public gallery is filling up. The press and the public are all there. Nicola and Zoe are sort of brought up from the cells and into the dock. We hear little sort of speeches from all involved: prosecution, the barrister of Nicola's and the barrister of Zoe's. An impact statement is read, and it's read out. It's wrote by an ex-partner, as I just said. Her name was Mary Jones, but it was read out by the prosecution. And he was called Andrew O'Brien, Brian, I'm not sure how you sort of pronounce it. That was at 9:58, and that the contents of that was basically saying how such a nice person he was. She missed him tremendously, obviously. She can't believe what's happened. She's still just waits for him to call because they spoke quite a lot on the phone apparently. She also said that due to the nature of the attack, she's very scared to sort of be in the house at night. She's losing sleep. She's even had CCTV fitted in her own home, and that was sort of read out. And then we heard at 9:59 the past crime records of Nicola and Zoe. Nicola had quite just sort of petty crimes, nothing serious. She'd not been to prison before ever. Zoe's was a bit quite lengthier. She'd got an attack once on somebody for robbery, but a knife was actually used as well. You then at 10 o'clock heard the sentencing guidelines. 10:06, the mitigation for Nicola was sort of read out, and he spoke about her childhood, which I spoke about yesterday. And you could see Nicola was crying sobbing in the dock. They then have a speech, mitigation for Zoe, talking about her childhood and how she was unloved, uncared for from being born, basically. How she was given drugs at 12 years old by her mother. She was forced to go out and steal to keep her mum's heroin habit. And we hear her criminal history, as I just said, the quite a lengthy rap sheet. And they just sort of addresses the court and makes a statement to both women. And basically, she says there's no sentence that I can sort of give that will bring him back. Zoe, you targeted him as an easy target and someone that you could exploit, that she believes she, had basically done that, probably done it in the past. She said to Nicola that you'd indulged in loud music and intimidation, keeping him sort of up all night. She said that you both went down purposely under probably the influence of alcohol and drugs, and the purpose of that was to finance your next sort of lot of drugs, basically, making it a murder for gain. And the judge says that she's sentencing him to life with a minimum of 26 years, and so basically in 26 years they can go for parole. It's down to the probation that decide whether they believe that they are safe to be sort of released, and she gave them 13 years for robbery, which will run concurrent. I was quite shocked by it. I didn't think they'd get that long. I didn't think they would get murder. I thought it would be sort of manslaughter. But some of the points that I've when I've read through and looked through, this case, as you know, I know her personally, but also just, from reading stuff. I mean, they went down to sort of, because they'd heard, because they was accusing him of being a paedophile, and obviously the police investigated all this and found no evidence. But I mean, just because somebody hasn't, got no evidence is found on them, they haven't sort of been going on the dark web or, evidence on their phone, does not, to me, guarantee that they're not that way inclined. That's just my opinion. I mean, and then another sort of point that I sort of got a little bit of an issue with is the video of the attack. I think it shows that Nicola wasn't fully up for all this. I mean, it showed Nicola sort of being pulled. Not pulled. Sorry. It showed Nicola trying to leave, and you hear Zoe say, "Get back in there. Think of your daughter." So I think it shows that Zoe sort of was definitely the instigator. But that again, that is just my opinion. I don't know what you guys think, to be quite honest with you. I'd love to know. You all sort of get in the comments. I mean, she was bullied at school, so she is quite vulnerable, and she's not someone who can sort of stick up for herself, in my opinion, Nicola, that is. And if Zoe was sort of a kind of bully at school, which allegedly she is, I mean, I don't know her. She's not done anything wrong to me, I'm not speaking bad of anybody. But Nicola was definitely somebody who was desperate to be sort of accepted. It's a sad case all round, I think, really. I don't know if there'll be any appeals or on what grounds they would be able to appeal on. If there is, I will sort of cover them, definitely cover them. So that's just the last sort of instalment of it, of the Woodseats murder. I hope you've all enjoyed it. I really do. And I will be starting a new topic, or if it's not sort of like a series of uploads, it will be just, what I said you would expect, really. Things about drugs. I think I'm going to do my next upload about heroin and class A drugs, really. What it's like to be a heroin addict. What sort of things you could look out for as a parent or a loved one who, to try and keep your eye out for it, so you know what signs to look for if your loved one's using drugs, what helps out there for you. So guys, I really do hope that you enjoyed this episode, and if you want to have like a little discussion on it and you think it's worth me sort of going live on a podcast, let me know on the comments. And you'll have to go and comment on my YouTube channel for that, I think. But like and subscribe to me on YouTube if this is where you're listening. So yes, guys, see you all soon.